All right, looks like we're live, and it looks like we already have some individuals that have joined us. If this is your first time here, I want to extend a huge welcome to you. My name is Rhonda M. Jordan, and what I do is I focus on teaching you, those of you that are interested in digital products and creating courses and affiliate marketing and so forth. I teach you the steps and strategies necessary to not only create those items, but to promote them and obviously to sell them. So, if this is your first time here, I again want to say welcome to you. I also want to let you know that this would be a great time for you to grab something to take notes with. So if you're a person that likes to do the pen and paper thing, by all means grab that. If in fact you're the one that likes to just take notes on your computer or your phone, you're welcome to do that as well. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to focus on a topic that I don't think gets enough energy, enough attention. And it is, I'm titling it, Before You Start Selling Digital Products, Do These 7 Steps. And as I started to go through this, I actually added a few additional bonus tips that I believe will help you as well. Now, before we get into that, if you're on and you want to say hello, by all means do so. Feel free to drop it into the comments. You can also let me know where it is that you are watching from. I also like to remind you that if this is your first time, that I go live on Wednesdays at this time, every single Wednesday. So unless something happens in life and I have to cancel it. So make sure that you mark that and set it as a standing appointment so that you can join me. I would love to have you here. Always love to see who's online with us. So, I'm not going to hold the information from you. I am going to go ahead and get right into it. And I also want to let you know that with the information we're sharing, I can assure you that when I'm talking to most solopreneurs, or what I call person business owners, they are missing at least one of these steps. So, if nothing else, it's a good refresher for you if you've already started your business. And if you're thinking about starting a business, you'll want to make sure you have all of these written down. So again, feel free to say hello as you come in. I always like to know who's on with us, and I definitely want to get started. So before you start selling digital products, do these 7 things. Now, the reason why I think these things are important is because most of these items, as I was thinking about things that I had to do, I was fortunate enough to do some of them, but I definitely missed others. And what that required me to do was to start to kind of backtrack, if you will. And I'll share my experience with you as I go through this, because my goal is for you to be able to do them in order so that as you get to the next step in the process, you've already completed the pre work, if you will, so it won't slow you down. All right. So, the first thing that I want you to do as you're going through this is to step number one, and I'm looking at my notes. So if you see me looking down, I always have tons and tons of notes that I create. But as you start going through this, just understand that if you miss any of these steps, it is something you need to go back and do, because all of them are going to be important as you are attempting to build your business. Now, I think a lot of the reason why people skip the foundational steps, new individuals that are getting started, is they just don't know what to do. And if no one has ever explained to you what you do or what you should be doing to get your business up and running, it's very easy to skip those steps. I focus in on teaching a lot of individuals who are beginners. So I always like to remind myself of what it was like to be a beginner. And again, as a beginner, there are just things you don't know that you need to do. So that's why we're going to be focusing on this. I know everyone wants to get to the point of being able to create the first product and making sales in that. However, there are in fact things you've got to do before that. Hey, Kathy, I'm sorry. Um, from Philadelphia. Wonderful. Thank you for being here today. And as I said, if you have questions, or maybe I didn't mention this, but if you have questions as we're going through this, I want you to drop them into the comments and I'll take the time to actually answer those for you. The other thing is, I want you set up to operate as a business from day one because we don't want to have to go back and do something simply because we forgot to do it. And there are certain things that if you don't do, it's going to prevent you from being able to earn income. And that's definitely not something we want to do. The other thing is to know that setting things up properly, it really begins to project an air of professionalism right out of the gates. And I'm going to share a story with you as we go through this because, remember that whole thing, you really only get one opportunity to make a first impression. So you want to come through as, somebody who's got your stuff together, someone that knows what they're doing, and present that air of professionalism right out of the gates. And then the other thing, and we'll get to this a little bit later on, is as you are starting to think about content, this is going to help you as well, content creation, because for those of you that might be new to my audience, I always say that your content strategy is what's going to ultimately bring in the audience that you are hoping to create products for, coach, sell things to, and so forth. All right. Now, the other thing is this. So I'm getting right into the points now. So this is where you definitely need to start taking notes. Step number one, and I cannot impress upon you, and this is where I'm going to share a story, is create a professional foundation by first and foremost setting up a domain and a professional business address. Now, let me explain to you what that is. If you've ever seen, and obviously if you're on the website, you know what I'm talking, or on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. So for example, I own the domain rhondamjordan.com. It's my name. And so when I create email messages that go out to my subscribers, it goes out from a domain that ends in rhondamjordan.com. I also own I actually own several domains, but I own another one called learnwithrhonda.com. Now, why am I saying all of this? Because in order to have a professional email address, which you should, you're going to need to purchase a domain. And it's really inexpensive and it's simple to do. And as a matter of fact, you need to write this down as your homework. And I'm giving homework right out of the gates. And your homework is going to be to watch a video that I've created, and I have it linked below, where I teach you how to set up a professional email address. So let me give you an example of what I mean. There are people that are out there attempting to do business, and I know for a fact they're not ready to do business. And here's how I know it. Their email address, if you purchase something from them, that you are receiving whatever you purchase from them is going to be something like jessicasmom24@gmail.com. Okay, stop it. jessicasmom24@gmail.com, and I hope that's no one's email address that's on here, is not a professional email address. You are not going to be perceived as someone who is really ready and set up to do business properly, simply because that's the kind of email address that you're going to use when you are corresponding with your friends, not people that are purchasing things from you. As a matter of fact, if I received something like that I had purchased from someone who was using a Gmail account, a Yahoo account, Hotmail, and let's even say AOL, okay? These are all those free accounts that are out there. Now, don't get me wrong, I use Gmail for my personal correspondence, all right? I do not use that for my business correspondence. But if I was to receive something from that, I would look at the email, and the very first thing that I would be thinking was, I wonder if this is legitimate or if this is some type of phishing scheme. That's the first thing I'd be thinking because remember, when you send out the link that has whatever it is that people have purchased, or the email that has whatever people have purchased, there's typically going to be a link in it for them to download it. I don't want to download from a link from someone who's sending me something that I don't know or don't recognize. And using something like a Gmail account or a Hotmail or Yahoo just does not say, this is what I ordered from someone who's doing business in a professional manner. Now, I know that maybe you've started that way, but today is the day you're going to correct it. Let me tell you how simple it is to set up a professional email address. And as I said, I walk you through the entire thing, start to finish, in about 11 minutes time. It is super simple to do. And it's the thing that I want you to do once you finish watching this live stream. Now, if you don't have time to do it right away, make sure you do it within the next 24 to 48 hours. That is the first order of business. Because if you are sending things out from a domain that is, let's say, your name, your first name, or whatever it is you choose to use, or something like support or info at the domain that you've purchased.com, that just sends out a professional message. It's letting your customers, it's letting the world know, yes, you are set up and ready to do business. Now, the other thing is this. Once you purchase that domain, and I show you how to do this in the video that I've recorded as well, make sure you customize it. So, for example, anything that's going to come from me is going to have my name, Rhonda Jordan, listed as the from address, if you will. And that's important for you to do. It's not important that you just buy the domain, but you have to set, or sorry, the email address and the domain. You have to also take the next step, which is to set up and make sure that it is ready to send from, and also do the testing to make sure that you can receive from it. Why is that important? Because when you send out email messages, there are times where you may have a line in there that says something like, if you have a question, respond to this email and let me know what that question is. Well, if people are responding to the email and you don't have things set up to be able to receive properly, then they just assume you never got it, or heaven forbid that you just don't care because you chose not to respond to them. So take the time to make sure it is fully set up and ready to go. Now, here's the one thing that I want to say to you. As I mentioned to you, I do use Gmail for my personal correspondence with friends and family members. There is a way, and I do this as well, for you to actually receive and send using a Gmail account with your professional email address. So here's what I mean. When I log into my Gmail account, I can select a drop down and select my professional email address that I want to send from. I also have it set up in such a way that within my Gmail account, anything that comes to my professional email address is segmented, if you will. It is identified and segmented. And so that's how I know for a fact that it's coming from my professional email address. The reason why you may want to do this is it allows you to manage your email messages all in one place and know what's professional or business and what's personal. All right. So if you have any questions on that, drop that in. But first order of business, get a domain. And also, I want you to set up that professional email address. And when you set that professional email address up, any business that you're going to be doing is going to be done using that professional email address. And I'll talk through that as we get into other segments of this training. So just kind of keep that in mind, that it is important that you do it. Now, here's something else I want to share with you. If you choose to do business and you want to purchase the domain that is your name, first and last name.com, whatever it happens to be, you may find that that domain is already registered. That's what happened to me. I was going to buy or looked initially for the domain rhondajordan.com, and I found out that it was available. However, somebody was holding it hostage, meaning they had purchased the domain and they were willing to sell it to me, but they were going to sell it to me for some astronomical amount. Now, this was years ago. So instead of going that route, I just added in my middle initial, which is why my domain is rhondamjordan.com. So I had no problems being able to register that. I'm going to suggest the same thing to you. If you have a very common name, or if in fact you have you find out that the domain that you want to purchase is already owned by someone else, consider variations of your name. So for example, adding in your middle initial or something like that. I would stay away from things like hyphens in the middle, because it is possible to buy. For example, I could have purchased rhonda-jordan.com, but that is very difficult for people to remember. And if in fact they were to enter that, they may end up somewhere else. Okay. So hopefully that helps to explain that to you. So professional domain is the very first thing. The other thing, I'm sorry, before I get off this topic, the other thing that using a professional email address is going to do is it is going to drastically improve your deliverability rates into someone's inbox. Here's what I mean by that. If you are sending things out from your I'll get to you in just a second, Liz. If you are sending things out from a Gmail address, professional communication, if you will, because you've chosen not to listen to what I told you, then what's going to happen is your likelihood of ending up in someone's spam folder or ending up in someone's promotions folder is going to be drastically higher than if you have a professional email address. All right. So just be aware of that. Liz asked the question, is there a cost to do this through Gmail? No, absolutely not. What you are able to do, I'm not going to show my screen because I don't want to show you the thousands of email messages that I have, but I'm going to pull mine up just so I can quickly tell you where you would go inside of Gmail to do it. And the steps are laid out. It's really, really simple to do. So what you're going to do is if you're in Gmail, you're going to click on the settings wheel, the little cog wheel up to the left of your picture if you're on a desktop computer. You're going to click on that, and then what you're going to do is click on See All Settings. I'm sorry, I'm not able to show you, but I don't want everybody to see all my email messages. And then the next thing will be going to the section that says Accounts and Import. And right there, you're going to see Add Another Email Address. And then all you have to do is use the login credentials that were created for your professional email address. And then what's going to happen is it'll go through a verification process. And if in fact you are successful in setting it up, then it's going to all of a sudden allow you to start receiving email messages from that professional email address. And it will also allow you to send from that professional email address. So don't skip that step. It is definitely worth it. I would assume that there is a similar feature that's available for Yahoo, but I don't use a Yahoo email address, so I can't really answer that. I know for a fact you can do it with Gmail. Okay, so Liz, hopefully that answers your question. All right, now I have really been on that one, so I'm going to get off of it now, and I'm going to move on to point number 2. The second thing you need to do is you want to set up a reliable payment processor. Now, and let me just stop because, again, I'm going to be working from the standpoint that there are individuals watching this who they're brand new. They don't know exactly what I mean. A payment processor is simply just where you're going to be able to use a third-party service that's going to allow you to receive payments in that people have submitted via debit card, credit card, or their bank using their routing number and account number. Okay? So The processors that I'm going to definitely suggest you set up are going to be Stripe, Stripe, and then the second one is going to be PayPal. Those are the two that I definitely want you to set up. There's no cost to set them up. Where you're going to incur a cost is when people make payments to you. Typically, you're going to have a credit card processing fee that's generally a little bit less than 3%, and then they will typically charge you a per transaction fee. So, for example, if you were to sell a product for $10, for example, then you're actually going to only receive 97% of that roughly. Okay, 97% or $9.70 of that purchase. So, no cost to set up the payment processor, but you will incur a cost when people purchase from you. And here's the way that's going to work: the credit card processor, Stripe, PayPal, they're going to deduct their fee before they deposit into your account the net amount, if you will. Okay, so just be aware of that. Now, there are other payment processors that you can set up. These two you're going to be able to pretty much use with most of the services that are out there where you might be selling your products. Now, here's the other thing. When you set up your payment processor, use your professional email address. That's the one I want you to use. And if it works better for you, and this is just something that I do, but you do not have to do this, okay? I do not use the same email address for my payment processors as I do for my professional correspondence that's going out. It's all under my same domain. I just have multiple email addresses that are linked to that domain. So you can have as many professional email addresses as you want. I won't say what mine is, but just know that it is different. And some of that just has to do with security reasons. You don't have to do that right now. You can always change your email address at a later point, but use your professional email address when you are setting these accounts up. All right. Now, the other thing is by having these in place, when you get ready to start selling products, whatever your digital products are, what you're going to then be able to do is to link through the service that you're selling your digital product on to your Stripe or PayPal account. And again, I would recommend setting both of them up. Now, if you are watching this from a different country other than the US, I would encourage you to find the ones that are used most in your country and set that up again using your professional email address. All right. Now, by having this stuff already in place, you're going to be light years ahead of most people. So take the time to do this. So that was step number 2, is setting up a reliable payment processor. All right. The next thing is going to be establishing a presence on one main platform. Remember, we're talking about the things to get you ready to start selling digital products. Now, for many of you, okay, let's just see here. I'm going to stop for a second and see. When you say login, is that my domain login dashboard or Gmail? And then do I need a professional Gmail name? You can use whatever, like I use my personal Gmail account and I run my professional email address through that. It's just that they are separate. So in other words, I log into Gmail. I went through the steps that I described before. I input the information for my professional email address. So when I pull up Gmail on my phone or my desktop, laptop, whatever the case may be, I can see the items that came from my professional email address and I can see the ones that came from my personal, and they're all in the same list of email messages. So I just want to make sure when you say login, is that my domain login dashboard? No, not your domain login dashboard, but it could be depending upon the one that how you have this set up. I don't know where did you purchase your domain, Liz? Just list that out. All you have to do is just give me the domain, the place that you purchased it. It could be something like GoDaddy or Namecheap, or there's a variety of domain processors out there. And I recommend one in the video that you'll see. And hello, Global Lens. I'm glad that you are here. Excited to have everybody on and again go through these steps. And if you wouldn't mind, if somebody could do me a favor, and if you're taking notes, just write out in the comments steps 1, steps 2, and steps 3 as we get to them. Liz, if I did not answer your questions, thank you so much, Catherine. So that's where you're going to how you're going to go into Gmail, and in fact, get to the point where you can add in your professional email address so you can monitor by sending and receiving all in one place. All right, Global Lens says, I use Namecheap. Yep, I've used Namecheap as well. And I also use GoDaddy. I've been using GoDaddy for years. All right, so now the next thing, as I mentioned, was establishing yourself on one main platform. Why is this the case? Because when you're brand new, or if you do not have a team, maybe you've been creating content for a while, one of the things that tends to happen is people try to be all over the place by trying to post content on 5 or 6 different platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and whatever else I might have missed, LinkedIn. Well, you know what? When you see people, larger creators who are doing that, trust and believe they have a team in place. Somebody is assisting them. They at least at a minimum have a virtual assistant. If you are attempting to do all of that by yourself, it is ultimately not going to work. So I want you to just really focus your attention on a platform. And I've got tons, if you go back through my live stream playlist, I have tons of information on this where I talk specifically about focusing on one platform, because you have to make sure that you get comfortable and you understand the nuances of that platform. You also have to make sure that your ideal customer is on that platform, and you're going to have to consistently create the type of content that works for that particular platform. Again, do not try to post on multiple platforms. It's too much for you, especially when you're just getting started. I will say for me, the place that you're going to see me post is going to be YouTube. You're going to see, obviously, if you're watching this live stream, it's streaming through YouTube. I do have this feed set up to go to Facebook, my Facebook business page as well. That is the only thing that posts on my Facebook business page. In most cases, I don't even touch my Facebook business page. But if you go to the community page on YouTube, or now I think it's called the post page, you're going to see content that I'm posting. You're going to see my live stream come through on YouTube. You're going to see videos that I have posted on YouTube. I'm not even worried about the other platforms out there. So I want you to find the platform that you enjoy being on, and you have to make sure that your ideal customer is on that platform, and that's what you're going to focus on. All right. Now, that's going to ultimately become the main traffic source for everything that you create. So when you start creating digital products, or you start creating courses, or you start doing workshops or master classes, you're going to take that traffic from whatever that single platform is, and you're going to funnel it to your offer. Okay. And we'll get to that a little bit later, but I just wanted to make sure that you know your goal is one platform only. All right. Now, next thing, and this will make sense to you as we go through it. Liz, Dynadot is that your where you purchased your domain from? That one I have to say I'm not familiar with. So, but if it works, it works. So I'm never going to tell you absolutely have to use a specific thing. I'm going to make suggestions, and then you, as a CEO and business owner, it's up to you to make decisions about what's going to work best for you. All right, give me 1 second. Okay. Number 4 is I want you to choose an email service provider. An email service provider is going to be a provider that allows you to communicate with the email list that you're going to start building. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this as we go through it. Now, there are lots of email service providers out there, and understand that if you pick one and then later decide it doesn't work for you, all you have to do is export your list and you can move it over to another provider. Give me just one second. I haven't coughed in 3 days, and I'm not sick. It's just something in my throat, so I don't know what's going on here. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what you use an email service provider for and how simple it is to get them set up. So, your email service provider is going to be the tool that you use to communicate with the audience that you're going to build. Now, when I say the audience, I'm talking about the audience you are building off of the social media platforms. Why is that important? Because you need to get an email list going as soon as humanly possible. And one of the primary reasons for that is understand whatever platform you choose, you don't own the audience that's on that platform. Whereas your email subscribers, that is all yours. Your email list, that is an asset in your business. And remember, I'm a former CPA, so I'm going to use terms like that periodically. But that is an asset in your business. And so the larger you can grow that list, the better it's going to be for you ultimately, simply because now you have this list where you can communicate with people on a regular basis. For example, with my email list, one of the things that they can be assured of is on Tuesday mornings at 6:05 a.m. Eastern Time, they're getting an email message from me. And it's going to have valuable information in it. So, in order to get people onto your email list, what you're going to need to do is provide them with something of value that they feel like they need or want, simply and to a point where they're saying, you know what, I am willing to exchange my email address and give it to you in exchange for whatever this is that you're going to give me. So, what are some examples of things that you could give them? Well, you could give them a guide. You could give them an ebook. It could be a master class. It could be a 5-day email course. It could be a checklist. It could be oh my gosh, almost anything. And again, go through my most recent or through the list of live streams that I've done. I've covered almost all of this. There's so many live streams that are out there now. And I'm pretty sure I have everything linked below this video so you can very easily get to it. So people are willing to exchange their email address to get whatever it is that you are offering to them. All right. So what happens and what will happen as you are building, and this is kind of the process that they're going to go through, is you are going to figure out what it is that they are struggling with. Your audience is struggling with, and I'm going to get to your audience in just a second. Once you know what they're struggling with, what you're going to do is to create something of value that solves one problem. One problem only. And I really want you, whatever this guide is that you're going to give them or masterclass, I really want it to be something that you can create in under 2 hours. I want it to be that simple. And then what you're going to do is you are going to put this on a landing page. A landing page is almost exactly what it sounds like. You're going to say to them through the content that you are creating on that single platform, I have this guide that will help you do X, Y, and Z. Get a copy of it. It's, absolutely free of charge. And you're going to direct them from your content on that single platform to your landing page. Now, what happens on the landing page? All they can really do is learn about your whatever it is, and then there's a place for them to put in their email address, hit send, and now all of a sudden they're going to get an automated message that's being sent to them from your email service provider. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but just understand there are things you're going to do on the back end of your email service provider to set up the automatic sending of the email message that will go out that is going to deliver whatever your thing is. Okay? If that doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it. I'll explain it a little bit more. I also have a video that show you exactly how to set up a landing page. That should be linked as well. And if it isn't, I will make sure to link that. Honestly, I'm going to recommend a service that you can go through that will allow you to do this absolutely free up until you get to about 2,000 subscribers, which is a lot of subscribers. So definitely set it up. Now, here's the thing. When you are setting up your email service provider, you must use, well, I shouldn't say must. You definitely should use your professional email address that we talked about in step number 1. Why? Because again, it's going to increase your deliverability rates. Number 2, you're going to prevent that professional image to your subscribers. And why do you also want to use an email service provider? Because somebody could request your thing, whatever it is, at 2 in the morning when you're sound asleep. And the thing about an email service provider and an autoresponder is you could be sound asleep and it will automatically deliver whatever your thing is to that person's email address. So definitely do that. Again, I will link below the video where I demonstrate to you how to set up a landing page and get that set up. And I think you're going to find that, again, by doing these steps in this order, it's going to allow you to really start building your business and get to the point where you can start selling comfortably your digital products. Now, here's the thing. Once people are on your email list, now this is where the work begins, because you're going to be building the know, like, and trust factors. You're going to allow people to get to know you. They're going to determine whether or not they like you and whether they can trust you. And if all 3 of those factors are in place, they're more likely to purchase from you. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind as we are going through this. All right. Now, if you choose to disregard and you try to use a Gmail or a Hotmail or AOL or whatever, the likelihood that those email messages that should be going out automatically through your email service provider is going to end up in someone's spam folder is seriously high. Because again, people are not expecting a Gmail address to be delivering whatever their lead magnet is. Okay, so just go ahead and get the professional email address and not have to worry about that. All right, now your goal, again, move as many people as you can from social media onto your email list, because the larger you grow that list, the larger your list of potential buyers will be for whatever your paid offer happens to be. Okay. All right. Now, let me give you some examples of different service providers that you can use, email service providers. One of the ones out there is MailerLite. Now, I can speak about this now simply because I just moved my husband's email list over to this service. It was very easy to do. I forget, but I want to say maybe for the first 500 email subscribers, there's no cost at all. It allowed me to set up an automation, which simply means when someone subscribes to his email list, it can automatically send out to them not only whatever their lead magnet is, but it also is going to allow him to also be able to communicate with his audience on a regular basis. All right. Let's see here. Liz says, should we do that through our hosting provider or somewhere else? Do you mean set up your email service provider? Let me know if that's what you mean, Liz. Or do you mean set up your email service provider, or what? Just clarify that for me so I know. All right. Now I'm going to give you another tip or another place, and one that I recommend because I think it just works. And it is called System.io. Again, I have a video linked right below. And the reason why I like recommending System.io is it's an all-in-one platform that's going to allow you to have your email service provider. You do or should really use a professional email address, as I mentioned. It's also going to allow you to set up landing pages. It's going to allow you to set up sales funnels. It's going to allow you to do all of that. I have a video where I take you from start to finish. I've got a lot of videos that are tutorials where I walk you through the process. So by the time you get through the video, you know exactly what to do to set this up. But I think that System.io works, and that is going to be free to you, I believe, up to 2,000 subscribers. So just know that that is definitely one I would recommend. Now, personally, I have used Kit for years, probably 6 or 7 years. However, they just recently had a fairly sizable price increase. I still love Kit, but I think for someone who hasn't yet started to really make money, I don't know that it is going to be cost effective for you. So I think there are other options, such as the ones that I mentioned. Now, I do want to go back to one thing. If you are using something like Stand Store, or I forget the other ones, any of the others out there, that don't have a built-in email service providing functionality, if you will, then that's when you would use something like MailerLite. If in fact you're using System.io, it's all built into the system, so you don't need a separate one. That would also be where you would use something like Kit or Flowdesk if, again, you're using like Stand Store or one of the others. So just know that. That those are going to be things that you're going to need for that. Yes, our mailing list and our autoresponder. Typically, your hosting companies, at least the ones that I can think of, for example, I host on SiteGround. I host my website. I don't ever recall, and I've been with them for years, I don't recall them having an email service provider built into it. So, now you mentioned Dynadot, and I'm not familiar with that. So what I would suggest doing is, take a look at it to see whether or not they have it. And if they don't, I'm definitely going to encourage you to check out System.io. Okay, so just kind of be aware of that. Now, if you already have your website that is set up and you're hosting hosting your products and everything on your website, then that might be where you would use something like MailerLite. Again, Flowdesk. There are others, lots of them out there, but just know that if in fact the functionality does not exist within the tool that you're using, that's when you're going to use something like MailerLite. Okay. Any suggestions for a WordPress user? My personal website is hosted using SiteGround, and I have a WordPress site set up, but I still use System.io I have it set up on a separate domain, if you will. And I use that for the functions of being able to create funnels, sales pages, and so forth. So just know that. Now you can build into you can build into WordPress using their, I think it's WooCommerce is something you can build into that, but you are still going to be able to, or still need to connect it to an email service provider. So just know that, and that's where you use HostGator. I've used them in the past as well. So, but I switched from HostGator years ago to SiteGround. So, and as I said, I just would say in those instances, either you're going to use something like MailerLite, ConvertKit, or so forth, or you would have something else set up which allows you to process your landing pages and so forth through something like System.io. Now, I do want to, since you all are asking about that, I do want to let you know it is possible to host a landing page on your website. It is possible to do that. So just be aware of that. I don't want this to ever give you the impression that I'm saying you have to use System.io or you have to do that. No, you use whatever you want. You are the CEO of your business. And again, over the years that I've been doing this, I have used different tools. So I don't want to just say what you can what you should use. I want to give you options, and then I want you to make the most informed decision for your business. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Like I said, I'm not trying to push anything on anyone. I'm just sharing with you. But like I said, if whatever it is that you're using, there is a way, if you want to keep everything on your website, there is a way to build the functionality into it and actually receive in email messages. For example, I'll just throw this out and let you know. If we're talking about putting a landing page on your website, if you will, or a page where you can collect email addresses. Kit allows you to do it, and I think MailerLite also allows you to do it. I'm only speaking about the ones that I have personal experience with. Flowdesk probably allows you to do it as well, as does MailerChimp, which is to have a plugin in your WordPress site that allows you to a build a form to collect email addresses right on your website. So I'm sure they do it. You just have to figure out which of these different email service providers you want to use. And again, remember, you're not married to it. So if you start using one and it no longer meets your needs, export your list of names and email addresses that you have collected and then import them into the new service provider. Okay? Is SiteGround better? For me, it is. Okay, I personally have been really happy with it, and I've recommended SiteGround to a lot of people. So, and they've been happy with it. So, I like it a lot. As I said, I want to say I've had SiteGround for, oh my goodness, maybe 6 or 7 years. My husband has a large youth basketball program, and the websites that support that program are all hosted on SiteGround. His personal website is hosted on SiteGround. So I've been very happy with it. And trust me, I'm one of those people that if I'm not happy with it, I have no problems moving someplace else. Why? Because this is business. And it's not like it's a personal friendship or anything. If the service no longer fits my needs, I'm moving. That's just the way it is. Okay. So you switch from SiteGround to Hostinger. As I said, that's the beauty of all of these different services out there. There are multiple services that are available. So you really have to look at the features. Thank you, Catherine, for sharing that. You really have to look at the features that they offer, look at the pricing, look at their customer service, look at their technical support, look at all of those and make an effective business decision as to whether or not it's going to meet your needs. And if it doesn't, look for something else. Okay, that's what you would do if you were running a huge brick and mortar type business. So do the same thing with your business here. Okay, all right, let's see. I want to look at what Liz says. She says, as HostGator, want an extra 60 or so. Yeah. See, those are the types of things where I was saying you have to really evaluate everything and figure out from a financial standpoint as well as to whether or not it's going to work from you. Now, I'm kind of off script here, but I'm okay with it because this is something you should be aware of. You should audit the tools that you are using in your business at least annually. Why should you do that? What do I mean by audit? You have to go through their features. You have to go through their pricing structure. You have to go through their technical support, customer service, upcoming features, things they've discontinued on an annual basis because there are probably or maybe a better option out there for you. And so as you start going through things, You also may find that there is another tool that you are also using or and probably paying for that may very well cross over, and you're paying for something you really don't have to. So at least on an annual basis, I want you to audit all of your tools. I do it every single year just before something is going to come up for renewal, meaning the payment, because most of the tools that I use at this point in my business, I pay for. And that's going to happen to you at some point as well. You can only use free tools for so long before you're going to outgrow them. And you're going to need to start paying for tools. But each of those tools that you're paying for should meet your needs. And so, just kind of be aware of that. Liz, when you say, do they have monthly plans? Tell me what it is that you are looking for. Are you referring to SiteGround? If you are referring to SiteGround, I pay annually. I'm not sure whether or not they have. Let me just quickly look and see. I'm not sure if they have a monthly plan. Let me just quickly look at that. Because most of them, from what I understand, you end up paying on an annual basis for them. So I'm just not sure. But most of the hosting companies that I've used, I think, and it's really only been two. I'm not going to say most. It's been HostGator and it's been SiteGround. And I believe when I was using them, I was paying annually for both of them. So if that was your question, I believe SiteGround is an annual payment, not a monthly payment. Now, I can tell you with System.io is in fact something you can pay monthly for. And it's if you decide to go the route of getting a plan that has additional features, their plans are really inexpensive for the functionality and features that you get, which again is why I tend to refer that to so many people. Okay, great, Liz. I'm glad that answered your question. All right. I'm so sorry I've spent so much time on email service providers. All right, and I kind of added in number 5 to number 4, which was create a lead magnet that attracts your ideal customer. So, I gave you examples of the types of lead magnets that you can create. I'll just quickly go over that. Checklists, ebooks, guides, which are typically really short ebooks, if you will, master classes, 5-day email messages, email courses, I should call them, a mini course. You could create a cheat sheet, swipe files. There's so many different options. It just has to be something that your audience is going to find valuable enough to exchange their email address in order to receive. All right. So, and then of course that's going to be added to your landing page. You're going to create a picture of it so people can see what it looks like. And then the other thing is you're going to set it up so your email service provider automatically sends it out to your subscriber no matter what time of day. This is not something you want to attempt to do manually. It's just not a process you want to do. Okay? All right. Now let's see here. Okay, this is the next thing you need to do. The next thing you need to do, number 6, is, and I will, at the end of this, I'll go through and summarize all of these for you as well. So if you came in later, you'll be able to get those as well. All right, so number 6 is I want you to write a simple welcome email series. I want you to write 3 emails. The first one is going to deliver the whatever the lead magnet is or the link to it. The second, and you're going to end that one with something like check your inbox for tomorrow or 2 days later, because I want to professionally introduce myself to you. I want to tell you some more about me. Because remember, there may be people that stumble across your lead magnet, say, gosh, I need to have that, but they don't really know a whole lot about you. However, they're willing to take a chance on you to get this. So that second email message is really designed to introduce you to them. That's where you're going to be able to communicate things such as, I'm just trying to think of what's all in my welcome series. I think it says something like, I'm Rhonda Jordan. My husband and I live in, Atlanta, Georgia. I was a former CPA working in corporate America. The reason I got into doing this, is because I wanted to do X, Y, and Z. some things you should know about me. And that's where I share things like, I enjoy traveling, I enjoy spending time with family, I enjoy whatever. You're building the know, like, and trust factor, letting them into your world, letting them get to know you a bit. And, you can say that if in fact all you're interested in is the freebie, feel free to hit the unsubscribe button and take yourself off my list. I I come right out of the gates with that because there are some people that, quite frankly, have zero interest in being on your email list, and that is okay. I spoke last week on our training about the fact that not everyone is going to be for you, meaning they just might want your thing and then they're out, and that's okay. All right. So that's that second email. So remember, after the second one, you're going to probably send one more email message out to them. This is the way I do it. So the third email message is going to go out maybe 3 days after the second email. So the first one went out, the second one goes out. Now the third one is typically going to tell them, let them in on something. Teach them something, give them something for free, introduce a product that you have, I would say a low cost, because remember, there are going to be people that don't really know much about you. So you could do that as well. And you know what? The more I'm thinking about it, maybe what I should do is a training on this to teach you how to write a welcome series, because a lot of people I find don't do it. Now, let me share with you how I do things. So those 3 emails go out, and I might have a fourth one. I'm not really sure. I'd have to go back and look at it because this series just runs when people request one of my lead magnets. Now, what tends to happen is during those 3 email messages, first of all, you delivered what you said you were going to deliver, you introduced yourself to them, and you talked about something that could help them, something you want to give them, something you want to sell them that's low cost, and so forth. Now, I'm giving people the opportunity to unsubscribe during any of those first 3 email messages. So the way my automation is set up is people have to make it through my welcome series without unsubscribing before I move them to my main email list. Now, some people don't do it that way. It's just the way that I do it, because what I have found is by doing that and allowing people like to hit the escape button, if you will, when they get onto my regular email list, these are part of the 1,000 true fans, the people that are excited, the people that want to learn from you, and so forth. They have raised their hand and said, yep, I want to be part of this community. So that's one of the reasons why when I send out my email messages on Tuesdays at 6:05 a.m. Eastern time, I have pretty high open rates. And it's because I've given people an opportunity to get off my list. Okay. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can do it however you want. You can have just one single list. But as I said, that has worked well for me. And I forget who I learned that from, like years ago, but it just seems to work for me. Okay. So 3 email messages is fine. If you want to go as far as 5, you can do that. Just spread them out so that, you're not constantly showing up in someone's email list. And the longer you spread them out, maybe you spread them out over a 2-week period of time or something like that. Now it's not like people feel like they're being bombarded by email messages from you. Because for some people, if you're showing up in their email inbox every single day when they just requested a lead magnet from you, that might be a turnoff. It might be a bit much for them. The only time I can say that probably wouldn't be a turnoff is if you are telling them it's a 5-day email course that they're going to be getting. Well, of course, now they're expecting you to show up in their email inbox every single day. All right, so let's see here. DM says, at Liz. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys are talking great. I'm glad you guys are talking to each other. So there are lots of different options out there. And so you all figure out what works best for you. And again, if you have additional questions after this is over, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll answer those as well. All right. So the next thing, and you could kind of argue that you could do this at the very beginning, is you have to define your niche and your ideal customer. You really should have that in place, but there are a lot of tools or a lot of things that you need to do in order to be able to do that. So I want you to have these other things in place before you start communicating with people via email. Because again, you don't want to ever come off as being unprofessional simply because you are really only going to have that one opportunity at making that first impression. All right. So if you're learning anything from this, by all means, let me know. You can give it some thumbs up. If there's somebody that you think should also be on this type of training, maybe a business bestie, make sure to share this with them or invite them to join you or watch any of the replays for anything else. Invite them to do that. I would love to make sure, because my goal is to make sure that people are learning the things that oftentimes they have to kind of figure out on their own at some point. And as I said, I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are at the point of being ready to send out an email list or email message, if you will, based upon a lead magnet, and they don't have a professional email address. And it's like, whoa, we got to stop, because you've done some steps out of order. So just kind of be aware of that as well. All right, now, so let me go through the steps really quickly so that you have them. So one is create the professional foundation by having a business email address that you're using. The second one is setting up a reliable payment processor, and I recommended Stripe and PayPal if you are in the US. If in fact you are in another country, use the one that works and is probably used by most people in that country, that is reputable and effective. Number 3 is establish a presence on a main platform. Number 4 is choose an email service provider. Number 5 is create an email or create a lead magnet that attracts your ideal customers, and use your professional email address when you are sending that out, along with an autoresponder that is built into your email service provider. Number 6 was to write a simple welcome email series that could be, as little as 3 messages, maybe as many as 5. I don't really think you need to write that many before you roll them into your regular email list. And I don't know if I said this, but I know I mentioned that what I do. But once you get people on your email list, then you need to communicate with them on a regular basis. Meaning, I would say, definitely do it weekly, if nothing else. Now, if you feel like you want to communicate more often than that, you can, but just know at least weekly. Because the worst thing you can do is take and do all of the work to get someone on your email list and then never communicate with them. Now, don't do that. I've done that with other businesses that I've run, and I can tell you, it's just don't do it. It's just not something you want to do, because people have exchanged their email address with you. They want to learn from you. They want to know more about what it is that you do. They want the shortcuts. They want the tips. They want to know what products you have to take them from where they're stuck over to the land of, now I know what I'm doing. So just be aware of that. All right. And then number 7 was to make sure you have completely defined your niche and your ideal customer. Okay. Who is it that you are going to be communicating with? Who's the person that you are attempting to help? All right. Now, let's go ahead and give you a bonus tip. And if you have any questions on any of those, or you need me to reiterate anything, then let me know. All right. Bonus tip is to craft your story. I want you to take time to write out your story. Why this is going to be your story of how you got to the point of marketing or selling whatever it is that you do. All right. And it should be something that you can share in a clear and concise manner that will connect with your ideal audience. Okay. So let me give you an example of who my ideal audience member is. It's going to be typically a woman who is 45 years of age or older, probably still working a job. The other thing about her is, she's at a point where she's starting, not maybe not ready yet, but starting to think about retirement. She may have some debt and she's looking for a way to have an additional stream of income flow in. And ultimately, she wants to be at a point where she can work herself out of that job and not just sit at home and do nothing, but to share what she knows with people that are like minded. That's my audience member. Now, my ideal customer. Now, does that mean that I don't have people in my audience under 45? Nope. Does it mean that I don't have people in my audience that are only women? No, it does not. You're going to have it, but when I think about the products that I'm creating, when I think about the lead magnets that I'm creating, that's who I'm thinking of. Now, how do I communicate with my ideal customer? Well, see, I was that person working in corporate America. I was the one that had some debt. I was the one who said, you know what? There's got to be a better way than spending 10 hours a day at a job I really don't want to be at. There has to be a better way to increase my income. And I made a decent income. I mean, definitely made a decent income, but I knew there was another way to do that. And I also wanted to be at a point where I could share what I learned, what I had accumulated, the knowledge that I knew with people who were trying to figure it out. So when I tell my story, that's pretty much what my story is. So I need you to be able to clearly and concisely share your story in a way that it is going to connect with your audience, whoever your ideal audience members are. So that's bonus tip number one. And then questions on that, by all means, drop it into the comments. And I also want to say this before I move on to the second bonus tip, which is that you can monetize basically anything. If you are into photography, if you are into knitting, if you are into crocheting, if you are into fishing, if you are into, I know how to potty train a toddler in 18 days. If you are a person with a large family and you know how to make healthy meals in under 30 minutes, you can monetize that audience. If you are someone who loves to do multi-generational travel and you know how to plan a trip like you could do it with your eyes closed, you can monetize those skills. I want you to know whatever it is you know how to do, you can monetize. So it does not have to be just teaching people how to make money. It does not have to do that. Okay. All right. Now, the next thing as we go through this is making sure that you have a content strategy. Now, the content strategy, I have this as a bonus tip. And this is the thing that's going to get everything going for you. The way people are going to find out about you is through your content. So this is where you're going to figure out from that single platform that you're going to be on what's going to work best. So for example, if you decide you're going to build on Instagram, for example, Reels are really going to do better than just regular posts on that platform. So what are you going to communicate in your Reels? Is it lifestyle type stuff? Is it decorating? Is it, and again, that's going to depend upon what your niche is and excuse me, and also who your ideal customer is. But you've got to really think that through so that the content that you are creating is going to be focused in on a single thing or a similar area, if you will. Now, and I'm not going to go into that because I could go into a whole different training on content pillars and so forth. It doesn't mean you only have to, focus on one single thing. It's more on that individual and the things that they need to know. But what I'm saying is you can't be talking about fishing today and crocheting tomorrow and traveling the next day and cooking meals, because now the algorithm doesn't know what you're doing. The people who did give you a shot and decide to follow you or subscribe to your channel, they're like, what is going on over here? This is all sorts of chaos and confusion. No, you've got to really create a content strategy that's going to be focused in on something so that when people come over and hit follow or subscribe, they know what to expect from you. Now, when you introduce them to a lead magnet that can help them, they're more likely to actually subscribe to it. You're going to send out now using that professional email address whatever it is that they have requested. So hopefully you can see how all of this begins to work together. But as I said, I can't tell you how many people are trying to communicate on a Gmail account, how many people don't have an email service provider and they're trying to send things out manually. How many people, for example, haven't figured out what it is that their audience is struggling with. So when they create a lead magnet, no one wants it because it's not something the audience is interested in. So you've really got to do all of this pre-work. And I know it may sound like a lot, but just take your time and work through it. That's how we all had to do it. So just take your time, work through it, and start checking things off. As I mentioned, the first thing I want you to get done is setting up that professional email address, because you're going to use that as you start sending things out, as you start setting up your Stripe accounts and so forth. All right. Now, let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure I haven't missed anything before I let you all off of here. Let's see. Okay. So for some of you, it sounds like you are, you're definitely ahead of things. So which of these steps have you already, finished? How many of you have your professional email address already set up? How many have already set up a landing page? Just kind of let me know in the comments. I would love to see that. Because like I said, it's definitely, going to put you light years ahead of most people who are just out here floundering because they don't know what to do. All right. So I always like to end these types of trainings with just a little bit of mindset. And today, one of the things I want to talk about is, the importance of really committing to your professional development, your professional growth, and so forth. And this is where I like to tell people one of the strategies that I have implemented for myself, and maybe this will be something for you, is I like to make sure that I use my car as a means and mechanism for learning. So I call it the university on wheels. And the way that I do that is I have a number of books that I have in audio format. Now, in some cases, I have them both in audio format and in, physical format or on Kindle. And so when I get in my car between the hours, and this is just for me, between the hours of 8 a.m. and let's say 5 p.m., I have trained myself to get in the car, start Audible, and start listening to a book. Because there are things that you are going to be able to learn that if you don't have the time to read an actual book, you can still listen to that book in audio format. And one of the things that you're going to find is that the most successful people in this space doing business, and I don't care if it's an online business or if it is a brick and mortar business, they are readers. They're always working on bettering themselves. They're always trying to learn something. And the more you can learn, the more you can then pass on to people that you're going to be helping. So figure out the types of books that work for you. I tend to, listen to books that are either about personal development, things that are going to help me overcome challenges, things that are going to teach me strategies, for example. Those are the types of books that I'm listening to. For example, this morning I had a doctor's appointment. And so on my way to the doctor, which was about a 30-minute ride, I listened to Atomic Habits. Now, I've read Atomic Habits. I've listened to it. But that's one of the books that I tend to listen to on a regular basis. And you're going to find that there are some books like that for you. So, turning your car into a university on wheels, or just if you're really into reading, carve out some time where you can read, for 10, 15, 20 minutes every single day. Because I promise you, there are going to be things that you are going to learn that, are going to either keep you going, things that you can implement to grow your business and so forth. And, I always make sure that when I'm talking to people and they're struggling with something, that I have a book that I can recommend to them, not because it's going to allow me to earn some type of a commission, but because I know they're struggling. And it's like, listen, this is what I listen to. For example, another book that I listen to on a regular basis is the 12-week year. I'm in the midst of what I call a 90-day sprint right now. And so the 12-week year is going to give you strategies to help you accomplish the goals that you are looking to accomplish during that not 12-week year or 90-day sprint. All right? So, I definitely want to make sure that I acknowledge all those of you that are on here. Let's see. Oh, okay. I missed a lot of things. So, all right. I'm just looking at the comments now. And I love the fact that you guys are connecting with you all. Is it bad? Let me pop this one up so I can read this. Is it bad to use a business at Gmail account in the beginning? I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend that because, again, when you get ready to send out an email message to your subscribers, having that Gmail account, it just does not. It's just not going to give you the level of professionalism that you want to convey. If you absolutely have to, then by all means, but just know your deliverability rates are not going to be great with that either. All right, so the next question is it less costly when you're trying to conserve expenses? Yes, it's definitely less costly. And like I said, if you absolutely have to do it, then by all means do it. But as soon as you possibly can, I want you to get a professional email address in place. All right, and Ashioma says, "Hey everyone, I'm so late today, but the replay is always going to be there. I'm always happy to see you on. And I know for a fact that, this information is something that if you could have been here earlier, you would have been here to listen to. So I appreciate you being here. All right, so I have gone through and given you lots of things. If you've learned something from this, by all means, give it some thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with people. If there's topics that you'd like for me to cover at some point, by all means, drop those into the comments. I will go back and review those. And I just want to extend an invitation to you to be here with me next week, Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time, or at least watch the replay. I'm always going to be covering something that I feel that people can use and that is going to help you ultimately grow your business. So with that being said, I appreciate you being on here with me. I love the fact that so many of you are connecting with each other and you are, adding your personal experience as well. So I will look forward to seeing you next week. I want you to have a very productive week. I want you to, let's see here. All right, so let's see. Before we head off, let's see. Liz says, this was very helpful and the steps I'm going to implement for sure. I have plenty of domains and now thank you so much for this live stream. I appreciate that. How do we sign up for your email? What I'll do is I'll link one of my lead magnets below that will get you onto my email list. I think one that a lot of people have really been interested in is I did some AI prompts to help people write an ebook. So I will list that in the comments of this particular live stream. So that's how you can get on there. And I would love to have you on my email list because I talk about a lot of stuff. And that's the place where when something new is coming out or topics, I always first send it to my email list. All right. So I won't hold you guys any longer. Again, thanks for being on. Have a very, very productive and prosperous week. And I look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. Take care and have a great day.